Are you making 5G your bed partner? Okay, so I'm going to admit it. I used to sleep closer to my cell phone than my husband. And are you connected all day to your cell phone? If you're like me, it's like attached to my hip. So what about it though? Is it like we're so connected in so many ways, and it's not just our cell phones. We're just literally surrounded by all this. So what are the health risks that are associated with it that we may not even be aware of? Right. Well, today, if you were wondering about EMF or 5G or any of that, you are going to want to pay attention, because we have someone here who's really immersed into that world. She's so amazing in this space. You're going to want to hear what she has to share. And she's going to talk about 5 things, probably a whole lot more, but at least 5 things about 5G and that whole world of EMF that you absolutely need to know. My name is Cheryl Bassett, and I'm founder of Unstoppable Connections. I'm an international bestseller and award-winning for my work with families and a family meeting toolkit. I do share something that came from my family journey, which is called the 4 gifts. And those gifts actually create an unshakable, unbreakable foundation built on trust. We embrace those 4 gifts and share a whole lot more of other resources. And if you want to find out more about that, you can go to my website, which is unstoppableconnections.com, and download the playbook around the 4 gifts right from that front page. And if you have an idea for the show, which is the Kitchen Table Conversation show, part of the Edge Network, if you have an idea or you want to be on the show, what you can do is go to kitchentableconversations.com and submit your idea or your request to be on the show. Now, what I like to do is set the intention for every show. And I do that because I want everybody to recognize what this show is about. And so we do from the fun stuff to the tough stuff and everything in between. Today, we're in that space of just you need to know stuff, right? But our whole goal is to create a conversation, strengthen our families, and to put out a positive ripple into the world. We do part of that by tapping into the 4th gift that I do share, which is the gift of love. And we unwrap the gift of love by choosing to celebrate ourselves and others. So it's with that intent that we come to every show with an open heart, an open mind, and a celebration of the person who came here today to share her passion, her talents, and her unique perspective around the topic that we have today. And so we're going to bring in Brenda Pearce. But before I bring her in, I want to read just a little bit of her background, because it's amazing, and why you're going to want to listen to her. So I'm going to read a little bit because I want to make sure I get this correct. First of all, she is also a show host and an international bestseller. And I know that because we've even collaborated in some of those areas. But Brenda is known as an empowered nurse. She has been working as a registered nurse for over 36 years and has had a vast career in healthcare. She believes that all health is cell health. And what we can do to improve the quality of our lives truly do start at that cellular level. And that's what she's going to be sharing. In this day of advanced technology, why is it that we are experiencing more chronic illness? We need to know the answers to those questions. And what Brenda has done is dived into that space and is recognizing that actually all of this technology is disrupting our natural regenerative frequencies of our cells. So we're back to that cell health. With cancer rates rising, everyone has been touched in some way by watching someone who's suffering in a health decline way before they should be. So it's time that we know and what is going on and what we can do to reduce those risks. Before the end of the show, you're going to get to tap into some of Brenda's free stuff that she shares, which is amazing information. And we'll tell you where you can go to do that, as well as how you can connect with her on Facebook in her group where they have all this conversation going on. So with that, what I want to do is bring in Brenda. And let me see how I do this. I don't want to do that. Here we go. There we go. All right. Me and my technology. Woohoo.
Hey, Cheryl.
Speaking of technology, right?
Yes.
So anyway, thank you, Brenda, for being here. I'm so excited for you to share some of this information, because I know there's so much that people just don't know or are very confused about it.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for having me. And it's a pleasure to be not only here with you, but also between the pages of the book that we collaborated on. And and it was a door opener to this conversation, which,
Mhm.
so many people need to be having. And I'm so happy you have this platform arranged for this kind of conversation.
Right. Yeah. So I know that you well, obviously when you're nursing years, we were talking a little bit before the show, and you were saying that in some ways when you first started, you weren't even aware of this yourself. So
No.
when did that awareness start for you, and kind of what like got you excited about really diving into that space?
Well, I have to say that, being a nurse of as long as I have been, I started when we had to stand and salute the doctors when they came into the nurses station, and everything was done in red, green, and blue ink. And, so very low key, low tech. And over the course of the career, as many people have to do, we have to become adaptogens. We have to adapt to the changes in our career and our workspace, and and be current and up to date with what's going on. And so, as electronic charting and electronic records came in, I was one of the leaders of implementation of that in my health space, and that was very, very over my head, to say the very least. But what has happened is, a few years back, about 5 years, 6 years ago, I partnered with another RN who is a thermography clinical technician.
Okay.
And she, through her own health challenges, really embraced holistic health and wellness, which was very far removed from my thinking as an RN, because we're very much tied to prescriptions and the word of the doctor, pharmaceuticals, and pins, pokes, and pricks, kind of that thing.
Yeah.
And, so it was really an eye opener for me, because I was going through some health challenges as well. And so I started to listen and be that open parachute that you're encouraging everybody to be.
Yeah.
And I think sooner or later in our lives, we do have that opportunity to either, really embrace change or new information, or pass it by. And so I combined with her, and I was like the back end specialist, collaborating to promote the breast show in town, because her whole thing is breast cancer can be prevented. And in those days, it was definitely not on the American Cancer Society's mind to say that there was prevention available.
Mm-hmm.
Thermography actually is a safe, non-ionizing way of looking with infrared technology into the inner workings of your body, checking heat over time, and determining and watching for changes in the body. And she believed that, that this was the safe alternative to mammograms. And that's a whole other show we can do sometime.
Yeah, okay, good.
But definitely, it opened my eyes. And one of the speakers at our events was Allie Oakes. And Allie Oakes is a lady who actually did not live too far from where I am. And 15, 16 years ago, her body was falling apart. She needed knee replacements, hip replacements, a hysterectomy. She needed bladder repair. She needed rotator cuff surgery. She was falling apart, running a farm and a B&B.
Mm-hmm.
And with her Austrian German roots, she had a friend in Germany who told her about PEMF therapy, and got that system into her home. And we'll talk more about PEMF therapy later, but it changed her life, and she never needed to have any of those surgeries. So when I was listening to her, it really struck me that as a nurse, I should know this stuff, but all health starts at the cell level.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I think has been removed from our medical system, because we treat symptoms. We do symptom management.
Right.
We look at this part, and that doctor will look at that part, and that specialist will look at this, and, my this and my that. And we really have given our personal power away to understand that we are truly a total body, mind, and spirit component. And removing any one section of that, including the cells, in the picture of that, is really a big misconception in wellness and health today.
Yeah.
So that opened my eyes.
So if we were to talk about and again, the whole goal of the show is for maybe just parents, maybe the whole family, to really sit down and to be able to have like this conversation around these topics. And so if the very basics of what is, because to some, we do. I read obviously we have EMF around us and it's fine. It's just obviously in 1974, I read this the other day. In 1974, you know, when you used to open up those birthday cards and they would play music, there was more technology in that card than exists that existed at that time than anything else out there. And you think about from that moment to where we are now and the amount of what we're surrounded by. So could you just really in a very basic way, what is EMF and what is that increased exposure that we have to that now?
Very good. And this is a very simplistic. The Earth emits electromagnetic fields. We are electromagnetic fields because when you think about the distance between cells in our body is like the distance comparably to 2 football fields, and yet there's communication that goes on at the cell level in our body. What the Earth has an atmosphere that has what's known as a Schumann resonance, and that is the resonance of the Earth, the resonance of the human body, the heart, and the mind, all need to be in sync with each other. And it's said to be between 0.5 and 30 hertz, which is a sound frequency. So this was really amazing knowledge for me when I realized this and started putting this together. If you remember back, and you can do your research, the first man to leave the Earth's atmosphere actually was in the near outer space for only about an hour, and then he came back to Earth. He broke the electromagnetic field of the Earth and consequently experienced severe health challenges, including rapid aging syndrome, degenerative conditions of his body, including extreme osteoarthritis, and he did not live long afterwards. So thank you, to this gentleman who risked his life, not knowing what the consequences were going to be.
Right.
When he came back, it was because he broke that resonance. Then NASA started to do some very deep study and found out and compiled a lot of information about the Earth's electromagnetic fields, and that we really are doing ourselves. Okay, so here's where I'm going to do a little break. So that's just the basics about electromagnetic fields. They are there. They are real. We don't feel them. We don't see them, but they are part of the human experience of life.
Yeah. And before you continue, I want to say something here, because one of the things that I've just been thinking about too is, so at that level, before we jump into all the other EMF that's out there right at this point, when you go out and you're one with the Earth and you take off your shoes and you're grounding, right? So that's allowing what we need to have, right, to be into that connected space. But most of us don't take our shoes off and we have rubber soles and we're not connected. So the connection that we need the most, right, we're not always getting. So I would encourage people, go take your shoes off and walk around. But anyway, go on to the next level, because I know obviously those are different EMF than the EMF that we're talking about that comes from all the technology.
That's right. Okay, so perfect, because yes, it's true. Rubberized soles, carpet, cement, tar, man-made items that are here for our comfort and our warmth and security are not necessarily doing us very good. It is a disservice to not ground with the Earth. So please, if even though it might be 5 below where you are or whatever right now this time of the year, I'm not saying go out and walk barefoot in snow in the frozen ground, but really be aware that going for a walk in the forest, even if you're all bundled up, touching a tree, breathing in the fresh air, being outside and exposing your skin to the sun's rays. And we've gotten so that we're an SPF world. There is good amounts of sunshine that we all need for vitamin D protection and, and all the good functions that we really need. So this is pivotal. This is my prescription for you today. Go for a walk, get some fresh air, and touch a tree today.
Yeah.
The triggers actually had it right.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was going to say, we're kind of jumping into some of the solutions, which is fine, right? Because it's really important to understand that. But I think people think all EMF is bad. All EMF is not bad, right?
No, that's right. So here's the thing, though. Over the last how many years now, we've gotten into wireless technology, cell phone, rapid communication, and people have heard of the Gs and the wireless Gs. So we're now heading into 5G. Canada is still 5G free, but the US has T-Mobile, which has the most extensive 5G network of communication. And there's a lot of greatness with this. And actually, I have to tell you, 6G is already in the works.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So every 10 years, a new G is coming out. So 6G is not fantasy. In fact, President Trump has mentioned he can't wait for 5G and 6G. It can't come soon enough for what it can bring. But there are inherent good things with this communication. And I know you've had Charlene Dokebauer, and she shared some of the bad things about our advancing technology and all
Right.
this sort of thing that we have to safeguard about. So I'm here also to talk about some of the bad things or the drawbacks that people don't realize are going on. And I send this to you from a loving and caring heart as a parent, a nurse, and somebody too that has to be very concerned about this, because there are scientists out there. 248 came together from around the world to talk about the scientific drawbacks of advancing the 5G technology in the world. Some countries are actually delaying it there for good reason. And I think that we all need to step back and understand that 5G, the scientific experiments on the safety of cell phones, and I'm not just picking on cell phones, but this is really inherent, was done over 20 years ago with adults who were in the Army, men 6 feet tall with their over 200 pounds of body weight. So they had thick skulls and they were, strong, healthy men. The safety standards then showed that a phone should not be near your head, not near your head. And it should be back. And actually the ideal is to be hands off, use a speaker phone. And not have that technology in your body or near you when you're sleeping. And the reason being is that the EMFs, the electromagnetic fields that are coming off those things, along with the RF factor or the radiation factor that's coming off of them, is like, and I'm going to say this, and I say this with sincerity, and it's not to scare you, it's not conspiracy. It's like turning your microwave oven on high, opening the door, and running it 24/7. The electromagnetic fields that are coming off of non-ionizing technology, like what is said to be a cell phone or a microwave, or even worse, is your hands-free phones in your room, in your home, is just as bad as if you were having radiation from an X-ray turned on you without protection. Okay.
Right.
It's serious stuff. It's not conspiracy. And I just really want to say too, watch your sources of information. If it's industry related, go to, like Cheryl likes to recommend, go to page 3 on Google and start to read the independent stuff. It'll really open your eyes to what's going on.
Yeah. So I have a question because, I'm a mom and my kids are grown, but still I'm a mom, right? We're always a mom. No matter how old our kids get, we're still moms and dads. And so I don't want to not have my cell phone within earshot at night, even when I sleep. Now, some parents, maybe don't feel that way, but I think a lot do. So what is the distance? And I'm asking for me personally, right? Because what is that distance that is a safe distance if I want to have it within earshot at least? Okay.
Well, you should not. Okay. So I'll give you some of the should nots and whys. You need to sleep in a room that's dark with no blue field light. That includes even your clock radio. Should not be anywhere near your body. So like what I like to say is, if you imagine yourself laying in your room, all technology needs to be at least 10 feet away from the foot of the bed.
All right.
That's just a general.
And I do sleep closer than 10 feet from my husband. So that'll move us, so he won't be competing anymore.
Yeah, I know we depend on our cell phones because they are, remember Star Trek in the early days, they had the beamer, beam me up, Scotty. And, that's just like having a cell phone.
When do we get to that? I want to be beamed up, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, beamed up in a good way, for sure. Yeah. But they're mini computers. They have everything in the world and then some. You are not connected. And then you think of the technology, the timers. So we use our cell phone not only for entertainment and communication, but also to keep us on track. And so it's really important to realize that you can have your cell phone outside of your door in the hall. Make sure it's away from all the other bedrooms too,
Mhm.
because you certainly don't want to do yourself good and then hurt the other people living in your home. So have it away. Please understand, you can go back to a manual clock if you need it. I mean,
Mhm.
TikTok can help you go to sleep as well as
Yeah.
help get you up in the morning. And
Yeah.
if you have it away from you, at least the snooze button isn't there. You can't just get that extra 10 minutes. You're up and at 'em.
Yep.
But it's really vitally important. Charging your phone needs to be done in a very safe, far away distance from your bed as well, because some people will charge their phones near their bed. I know
Mhm.
a few years back, the galaxies were causing fires. My daughter had her phone, and I didn't have any of this knowledge, and she started a mattress fire.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. I did hear
yeah,
about some of that. So yeah, it's just scary. And you think about then what's happening right in that space in that moment
yeah,
when to start a fire, that's pretty significant.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So I hope that helps a little.
yeah,
Get
that,
everything
that
out of your
does.
room,
Okay,
even the
like,
TV. Turn the TV off and get it out of your room.
yeah, I do. I mean, I'm very good about keeping it dark at night. My husband used to sleep with the TV on, but he always falls asleep. So the second he's asleep, it's off.
Yeah,
So definitely. But I know my dad could not sleep without the TV on, or so we thought anyway, right? So he was constantly bombarded with that all night. Um, so so obviously, yes, we talked about going to the third page of Google, and you bring up something else because I know if you go out and research it, which you touched on, you're going to see the studies that are done that say, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big
yeah,
deal at all. Yep, it's just overblown or whatever. But those studies are usually sponsored by someone who has a vested interest in saying it's no big deal. And just as there are studies where people have a vested interest in saying it is a big deal, but if you really dig into the research, which I know you've done, you get to where you are in that more organic search of what's really out there and what's really happening. So I do encourage everybody to always just go to the third page, skip the first two. Those are all paid advertisements, or usually people that have very vested interests in the outcomes of that research and
absolutely.
studies. So let's talk though about obviously some of those studies are showing what are some of the health effects that are being experienced. Obviously your friend was having some significant ones that was
Yeah.
being attributed to a lot of that, but what are some of the other health challenges that people face by being in this space all the time?
Absolutely. So even sitting in front of your wireless communication tools like a tablet or your computer or that sort of thing, it's really a good idea to wire up, Ethernet your stuff, because it will reduce the dependence on the Wi-Fi grid,
Mhm.
but you can still access things. So part of it is the radiation that comes off of your screens. You will feel burning of your face. Your eyes will get very dry.
Mhm.
People are feeling restless and anxious because of it, because you got to remember, and here I'm just going to do a little cell biology, is our cells, when they're in the healthy resonance of the Schumann resonance, and which has actually been key to actually be 7.83 hertz, but there's a range of 0.5 to 30 hertz, which is healthy. What happens is your cells are actually communicating, exchanging waste and nutrients and oxygen in a communication symbionts. They're actually entrained together. So I'm just trying to get my hands
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
So
there you go. There you
like,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that is our healthy cell regenerance, because the nutrients and waste are being exchanged in a healthy manner. Communication between cells is happening. But what happens is with the advancing of frequencies, so when hydro came into the home, it's 60 hertz. So you can see already there's a disruption from even a slightly increased frequency can start to cause um, disruption in our cell entrainment. Just like clocks in a clock shop, everything should be tickety-boo, tickety-boo. But
Mhm.
what happens is now we have more lights around us. So if you're imagining, you look at the different um, strengths of the bulbs around you, and that sort of thing, and then you get into fluorescent light bulbs. These frequencies that are coming off of all these things that we rely on, just
Mhm.
even without Wi-Fi, is a disruptor. And over the years, it's gotten to be to a point where more degenerative health conditions and inflammatory processes have been naturally developing that we think of as healthy aging, but it's the exposure to all the frequencies around us. So now then you start to add microwave ovens. So microwaves have been around for about 40, almost 50 years. And they were actually first called radar ranges because they were using radar technology, which as you know, what was happening was soldiers were using radars to cook wieners and heat up their food when they were off in remote places around the world. And radars are meant to keep surveillance. So then you add, so microwaves came. And we know they have 1200 hertz and there's the different frequencies coming out of that. So if we're supposed to be between 0.5 and 30 hertz, now you see that we're being exposed to more and more. It causes cell disruption in the communication, exchange of nutrients and waste in our body. We are basically being cooked from the inside out. And then you add, cell phones started coming in 30 years ago.
Right.
The cordless phones were coming in. And that sort of thing. And they rely on frequencies of energy, which are far out of our normal resonance of health and wellness. So there have been very few safety standards and testing done on humans. We're basically being guinea pigs to the need for convenience and increased communication and flow and ease in our life. So when 2017 came around, it was said that by 2020, no, it's 2015, sorry, 2015, they were already saying in the medical world, in the scientific world, that by 2020, 1 in every 2 people were going to be touched by cancer in their life. Cancer is an accelerated growth of cell tissue and cells in the body. So if you are being exposed to frenetic frequencies all the time, causing disruptions to your body, does it not stand to let you know that if there is a weakness or an area that could have accelerated cell growth, that is cancer? Yeah.
Right.
So when 2017 came around, we already met the 1 in 2 situation for cancers. We're at 2020 now. We've been really exposed to too much, too fast. We can't see it. It's odorless. It's colorless. It's tasteless.
Right.
It's there. It's electrosmog. And some people these days are actually having more symptomatic. So not only inflammatory processes and joint pain and that sort of thing, joint breakdown, headaches, sleeplessness, anxiety, depression. If you look at the increased rates of suicide that are out there now, and you know about disruptive cell frequencies, if there's any anxiety, and social media and all the gifts that come from Wi-Fi and wireless world and our communication are causing emotional, mental, physical stress and distress.
Yeah.
And so it's really important for us to really understand that if you carry a cell phone in your bra, because for convenience, they have found tumors growing in breast tissue in the areas where cell phones have been sitting the most. The electromagnetic fields radiate into our tissue and cook and cause disruption and harm. There, in my area, there was a little girl, I think about 10 years ago. She was 3 years old and had a double mastectomy, not because she was carrying a cell phone, but because younger people outside of the normal perceived high risk age of 50 plus are coming down with breast cancers younger and younger. The risk rates are increasing higher and higher. And when you start to add the frequency of carrying a cell phone in an age where disruptions are happening and you are beaming yourself with microwaves, and young men, children, men, and young boys are coming down with testicular cancer at younger and younger ages all the time. Think of where a man carries a cell phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
So these are some of the symptoms and dangers that are out there.
So we talked about the fact that, we need to sleep more than 10 feet away, get it out of the room. Obviously, when you're sleeping at night, we talked about going out in nature is a solution, right? Like really just disconnect, which is good for our mental well-being in so many ways, beyond even just getting, just taking that break that we all need, meditating, getting into those spaces. We already know the benefits of all that as well. So we take a, and then, oh shoot, I had a third one. But so what are some of the other, I had another thought, but it'll come back around. But this is what happens when you're connected to 5G, you lose your, no, I'm just kidding.
You do. No, you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So Oh, I know. I was going to say was, so at night, one of the things I noticed is when I was sleeping close to my phone, I would wake up with a headache. When I got like I moved it out. Now I'm probably 10 feet, but I'm probably more like 7 feet now away from my phone. That has made that stop. So I know that that's one of the things too. So there's all these things that we can do in the space of being in the solution. What other?
Okay, here's one.
Okay.
Digital dementia. Have you ever heard of that?
I only in the stuff you sent me.
Okay. Yes, actually, I was on the phone yesterday with another on another show with a Dr. Sherry Kelly, and she's a psychologist and really focuses on digital dementia. Our reliance on technology has made it so that we're not using our brain properly, and people are coming down with cognitive decline and mental sluggishness younger and younger and younger. So digital dementia is also now, okay, there's actually stuff going around the internet about Pampers actually looking at putting on sensors, computerized sensors, transducers to allow parents to tap into whether or not their baby is wet on their cell phone.
Oh my.
Okay.
Yeah.
Potty training now. There are on Amazon, there are these potty chairs where you can actually put a tablet in front of the child on the potty chair to entertain them while they are doing their doo-doos and whatever. It is people, I've seen pictures of people giving cell phones to children who are teething and using it like a teether.
Yeah. Yep.
So we are getting so that we
Yeah.
are so relying on technology and don't get me started on the echoes and dots that are in our homes that are so many people are thinking of smart technology as being smart. It's very dangerous. Who needs a refrigerator hooked up to the Wi-Fi?
I know. Yeah.
Like this is how far it's gone.
Yep.
If anything that says smart, run away the other way. Disconnect.
It does not mean smart. It won't make you smarter anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so anyway, talked about some of the solution areas, and I want to make sure we do, because I know we're going to talk about where they can go and get and we'll have this all in the show notes too. So after the show, people can come back and find your links. But I know you have a page that you offer, which is your Brenda's free gifts, I think it is called. And then also, I want to, we'll use this as a segue into, I'm going to put up so this is your Facebook group. And this group specifically dives into like all these conversations around this, right? So you're the PEMF consultant. So I know that's one of your solutions, right? It's one of many, obviously, in terms of what we can do. And there's a lot of little things we can do. And we've talked about some of those, but what is the solution around the PEMF?
Okay, so we've talked about the EMF problem. The PEMF solution is actually the most cutting edge form of medicine today. And I think this needs to be in everybody's heart, mind, and home and used daily. So pulsed electromagnetic fields actually is a system using Tesla technology, which actually calms the body back down into the Schumann resonance for cell health and cell health regeneration in a healthy manner. This device is used by people like Tony Robbins. You know, he's high volume when he's doing his workshops and very motivational. He has 5 of these systems. The White House Medical Center has 8 of these. And what it does is it actually gets the body to regenerate in a healthy manner. Just 8 minutes twice a day will give you up to 6 hours after each episode of calm, healthy resonance. It helps you to sleep better. It helps to relieve those tension headaches. It helps to reduce inflammation in the body. And it helps to improve circulation, because with the electromagnetic fields and the discordant resonance that they go through on a day-to-day basis, blood clumps. And when blood clumps, it reduces the surface tension and the surface availability of the exchange of nutrients into the microcircuitry of the body. And so a lot of what we're perceiving as normal aging can be reversed by improving the circulation of the blood in the body and giving it back its full potential. So this system, a lot of the pulsed electromagnetic field systems The technology was actually the solution that NASA developed to help man to be able to break the atmosphere and go into outer space for long periods of time. So if it's good for space, it's good for us, right? Because when we talked about all the breakage of the healthy frequencies around us, it's really important for us to improve our health. So these systems, the one I particularly am very passionate about is the one I was introduced to 5 years ago. And it is licensed as a Class 2 medical device by Health Canada and the US FDA. So that means that they have done the healthy science and research to show that this does do what it has to do: improve circulation and reduce pain. Pain today is one of the other things that's really huge because of the opioid crisis and the pharmaceuticals that people have been getting hooked on, and
that's another
dependency and addictions.
That's another whole thing, right? In and of itself, right?
So pulsed electromagnetic fields are definitely something to think about. Actually will heal broken bones much faster than casting in time. And so there's many, many great benefits. I could go on for hours on that, but this is really something that I really recommend, not because I promote it, because I use it every day. I have type 2 diabetes, and what I can tell you is getting my body and blood into healthy resonance and reducing the inflammation in the body has reduced the symptoms, reduced my need to look at the status quo in terms of treatment, and has reduced the neuropathy I was experiencing in my lower feet and legs.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So obviously there's a whole lot of questions and there's a whole lot of information that you have. And so for those that are seeing the link up here, it's the PEMF consultant in the Facebook groups. You can find Brenda and tap into some really amazing information. The other link for her free gift, which is your free gift is
Brenda's free gift. And it's if you go to tinyurl.com/Brenda's free gift.
And I'll drop that in there as well. But yeah, you can go there, and she's tons of great information there. But I would just encourage you to, again, we talked about being a parachute. It only works if you open your mind and take in this information, but it's not to be ignored, I guess, is really what, we wanted to share today. And, do your own research, but get more information about this and find out how you can bring some of these solutions into your home. And I do think it's like anything, because we can't see it, touch it, taste it, right? We don't realize what's going on, and yet there really can't be real long-term studies, because in some ways we're like, it's constantly growing in terms of the bombardment that we have. So anyway, I know from my own experience how important this is. We are at that magical time. It goes so fast. Oh my gosh. But one of the things I wanted to, in fact, we're actually a little bit past, but that's okay. What I wanted to say was, like, we close every show with a dot, which is a drop of thought. And I wasn't sure if you brought your dot today. I always close the show with the same one for me, because it's just my heartbeat. But what did you have? Like, if you're going to leave a drop of thought, that closing wisdom, that pearl, what would that be for our guests today?
Definitely. All health is cell health. Yeah. If everything starts at the cell level, anything else we do afterwards is not addressing the root of the problem or providing the solution. That's my drop.
All health is cell health. I love it. So, and obviously that's not up for debate. So, my closing thought, and the way we close every show, I want to thank you for being here. But I just always want to say that in a world where we can be anything, be kind. So that's it for today. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for being here. I know how passionate you are about what you do, and it shows. And anyway, I think people are going to be amazed at the amount of information when they go to some of the links and stuff that you've shared. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.